Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, and the people's champion, your host, Hut. And this is another episode of the Insane Asylum, known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So, I was not expecting to do a video on anyone at WFAN during this little period of between Christmas and New Year's. I thought things would be very quiet here, and I did a video on Barstool Sports' Frank Fleming the other day as sort of a filler to a certain degree, and it did great. That video did great. But obviously, one of the old-timers, and really, I want to put this out there for people to understand. Joe Benigno, who's the subject of this video, your host has never, and the Hut means ever, been a fan of his. I don't like him. I never liked him. I'm not going to placate to his insanity. Okay? And his pessimism and this dark cloud that's been hanging over him and hanging over my team since he's been on the air. Okay? Let's go back a little bit. The Mets were doing great in 2022. He had just retired. He returns, and the Mets have disintegrated. He is a jinx. But aside all that, I never liked him on the air. I don't like his fake persona. I don't like anything about him. He's a lousy fan to begin with. During the Jets season, the Jets were playing my Giants in a game. The game was close. Benigno and the Giants were winning in this game. Benigno decided to leave the stadium before the game was over. What kind of fan is that? This is this super Jets fan. Bullshit. Okay? I don't respect it. I don't like it. I don't like him. And I never have. Now, since he likes to sort of rip into the Mets and sort of has a sort of a Swiss cheese memory about what the hell is going on here, the Mets and Steve Cohen has spent millions and millions of dollars trying to invigorate this franchise that's been sort of in a downward period of the last 5 years prior to them being sold to Steve Cohen. Okay. The Mets have been attacked, and us fans, our team's been attacked for years. Now we have an owner that wants to spend money. The Wilpons didn't spend as much money as they should have. One, they didn't spend it properly. Two, they spent a lot of money in, I guess was part of this grift with Madoff, Bernie Madoff, and they had to sort of sell the team to pieces to different people. You know, Mike Piazza was a part owner of the Mets, if you didn't know. And so was, I guess, what the hell is his name? Well, it doesn't matter. But Steve Cohen, that's how Steve Cohen got to be one of the owners. He was a small owner, part owner of the Mets, a minority owner. And now that Steve has been the owner all these years, his relationship with us is great. He cares about the past. He cares about Mets history. The Wilpons care more about the Dodgers history than they did the Mets history. That's the big change here. The biggest change in the organization over the last really 3 years is no Jeff Wilpon and any kind of like decision-making capability. We have an owner that has been immensely successful in other business ventures. I have faith in him. People like Joe Benigno and Frank Fleming have zero faith in anything. They're dreary people. They're miserable people. Okay? Everything is a negative. Everything is a problem. Now, the Mets have spent tons of money over the last 3 years to put a good product on the field. It's been sort of a miss, a hit, and a miss. In 2022, they spent a lot of money to win 101 games, but they sort of... I didn't realize that the Starling Marte was so important to their offense that once he got hurt, they were never the same after that. And obviously in 2021, Jacob deGrom being hurt, and of course Francisco Lindor missing 6 weeks of the second half, made a big difference. Now this past year was a disaster, and they needed to sort of move on from these veteran players. You could not go another year with this group of old guys here, because you would have just been beating your head up against the wall. Well, Joe had a lot to say, I guess, on his podcast, And he's like all over the place. It's ridiculous, folks. It's ridiculous. He's doing some kind of like weird thing on Channel 11 here locally with another WFAN alumni, the ugliest man on TV, Mark Malusis. That guy shouldn't be on TV. All right. Here's from Odyssey.com. Joe Benigno rips Mets offseason. Quote-unquote disgrace, bro. Where they now operate like a small market team. Joe Benigno's not happy with his Mets lately. He's never happy with the Mets or any of his teams. And is worried that they could be on their way to operate much more restrictively than they did in the first few years of Steve Cohen's tenure. Quote, disgrace. As upset as I am about my football team, I am so disgusted with the Mets, Joe said. They punted on the year last year. They hosed the fans completely last year. They traded Scherzer fine. Trade Scherzer. They should have never traded Verlander. He didn't want to leave. How do you know that, Joe? You don't know that. Joe, you don't know anything. I wonder if Joe realizes that Caitlyn Jenner was once Bruce Jenner. You know that story, right? They showed a picture of Caitlyn Jenner on a cover, and he didn't realize that used to be Bruce Jenner? Didn't know that. They should have never... He didn't want to leave. If they would have held on to him, they probably would have had at least some meaningful games late in the year. Is he retarded? This guy's something wrong with him. They bring in Stearns. Oh, he's from New York. He's a Met fan. He's the smart guy. You bring this guy here, and I really believe they brought this guy here to run the Mets like a small market team. The Mets were willing to give Yoshinobu Yamamoto, moron, $325 million. There is nobody on this free agent market that is worth it. Killing yourself over it. I mean, I'm being honest with you. There's nobody on the free agent market that is worth the money that's out there. And to be honest with you, Yamamoto is not worth that money either. I also mentioned that the Yankees' cutoff point was $300 million. There is plenty of offseason left and plenty of names still on the board. But Joe Benigno, I got to come up with a good nickname for him. Joe isn't holding out hope that any of them will be coming to Queens. No, of course not. None of them are going to come here. Cohen lost all his money this year. He's still paying guys that aren't on the team. He had to pay this ridiculous luxury tax. And what do we got? We got nothing. What are they going to build up the offense? Can you sign Justin Turner? Can you sign J.D. Martinez? Can you look at Cody Bellinger? Of course not. Bellinger is a guy you stay away from, Dimbulb. He is a guy who has been terrible up until last year. He's up and down. You stay as far away from Cody Bellinger as possible. That's the kind of stupidity we deal with Joe Benigno. This is a team that is now a year away. I'm going to be honest with you. Since Yamamoto is not coming, this is a team that has to see what they have with their young players and develop the farm system. The farm system is the way to win. Joe, who's a dimbulb, doesn't understand that in 2015 the Mets went to the World Series because they had good young pitching, they had good everyday players that were pretty good, but their young pitching was what that got them there. Okay? The Mets don't have a lot of young pitching in their system that's ready or that is elite. Those pitchers back in that time were elite. Matt Harvey was elite. Jacob deGrom was elite. Noah Syndergaard was elite. Therese Familia, for a time, was an elite closer. That's how the Mets won. And they had veterans get hot, had big hits, and that's how they won the pennant. Okay? Now, that team didn't spend a lot of money, and it was all on the players. They brought in Cespedes, they brought in Uribe, they brought in Kelly Johnson. Helped out a lot. But this is the kind of insanity you get from somebody that is not an impressive guy. He's not a bright guy. He gives up very quickly. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of his. I've never been a big fan of his. And this is another episode of the Insane Asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.